All right, now we're going to do Lesson 9, Chain Rule. So the whole point of chain rule is to take the derivative of composition of functions. So if I have f of g of x, and I want to take the derivative of some function that's made up of f of g of x, so that would be, how do I take the derivative of f of x squared minus 2x plus 1? So that would be 7 times x squared minus 2x plus 1. So in this case, it would be real easy. I could distribute the 7 and take its derivative. But what if my f were this to the 4th power? How would I take that now? I do not want to have to multiply that out. So how would I take the derivative? So the easiest way would be to take, so I'm going to just look at this right here and say, let's suppose, how do I take the derivative of this? So what you're going to do is you're going to take the derivative of the f and leave the g of x alone, and then multiply by the derivative of the g of x. So that's how you take the derivative of a composition of functions. All right? So down here, what this says is that if I want to take the derivative of f of g of x, f of g of x, then what that is it's f prime of g of x times g prime of x. Okay? Now, in this notation, this is another notation. This says that dy dx, or a lot of times you'll see it as dy dx equals dy dt times dt dx. Okay? So those are two different ways that you often see the chain rule used. So now let's get to how to do this. Now I'm going to do this example in two ways. So the first way is to not use chain rule. So what this is this says f of x equals 8x times 8x minus 1 times 8x minus 1. So I'm multiplying it out. So f of x equals 64x squared minus 8x plus 1. So f of x equals 64x squared minus 16x plus 1. So then f prime of x equals 128x minus 16. So that's one method. The second method is to use the chain rule. All right, so what that would be is to say that f prime of x equals 2 times 8x minus 1 times the derivative of 8x is 8. So now I have f prime of x equals 16 times 8x minus 1. 8 times 16 is 128. So I get 128x minus 16. So I either have to do a lot of multiplication up front or a lot of simple multiplication at the end. All right? Now, you only have to simplify when the question says to simplify. Okay? Okay. So now let's look at number 9. So f prime of x equals minus 1 times 3 minus x to the negative 2, because negative 1 minus negative 1 is negative 2, times negative 1, which is the derivative of 3 minus x. So now I have to simplify. Because you know how to multiply negative 1 times negative 1, you need to do that. So what I have is f prime of x is simply 3 minus x to the negative 2. All right? So number 10. So this, I have to multiply x plus 6 to the negative 2. So then f prime of x equals negative 2 x plus 6 to the negative 3 times 1, because 1 is the derivative of x plus 6. Then I multiply this times this, and I have to move the middle term back to the denominator because it started in the denominator. So I get negative 2 over x plus 6 cubed. And so that is my final answer. And for 11, I get g prime of x equals negative 1 times 2x squared plus x plus 9 to the negative 2 times the derivative of the inside, which is 4x plus 1. Now I can leave this completely alone because I do not have to multiply it out. Sorry, my phone has gone off 3 times because we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. All right, so now let's go to number 12. So the first thing I have to do is I have to rewrite f of x equals 3x plus x squared to the 1/2. So then f prime of x equals 1/2 times 3x plus x squared to the negative 1/2 times 3 plus 2x, because that's the derivative of the inside. Again, I can leave it alone because there's nothing to simplify. If I multiply this through, it does not simplify my expression any. So I'm done. Although I actually should okay, that wasn't what I meant to do. Okay, let's try it again. So f of x equals 3x plus x squared to the 1/2. So f prime of x equals 1/2 times 3x plus x squared to the negative 1/2 times 3 plus 2x. Now, I should rewrite this with the square root because that's how my original is. So f prime of x equals 3 plus 2x is in my numerator. This moves to my denominator, so I have 2 over the square root of 3x plus x squared. Now, that's better. All right, I'll agree with that one. Now, here's one that's a little more complicated. You okay? My puppy is a little upset. All right, so let's multiply the 2 through. So what I have is 2x plus 2 times x squared minus 1 to the negative 1/2. Okay, so now I'm going to have to use the product rule. So product rule says that fg prime equals f prime g plus fg prime. So f equals 2x plus 2, and f prime equals 2, and g equals x squared minus 1 to the negative 1/2. So g prime equals negative 1/2 times x squared minus 1 to the negative 3/2. All right, times 2x. This can be simplified. So what I get there is negative x times x squared minus 1 to the negative 3/2. Now let's put it all together. And so what we get is we get h prime of x and we get h prime of x is 2 times x squared minus 1 to the negative 1/2 plus, and we have 2x plus 2, 2x plus 2 times minus x times x squared minus 1 to the negative 3/2, and that would be our final answer. Okay? So now let's go on to the next one. So this one, again, we're going to use the product rule. So here again, we're going to use the product rule. So we have fg prime equals f prime g plus fg prime, where f equals x squared minus 3x to the negative 2. So f prime equals negative 2 times x squared minus 3x to the negative 3 times 2x minus 3. And g equals 6 minus x squared to the 0.5, and g prime equals 0.5 times 6 minus x squared to the negative 0.5 times 2 minus 2x. Okay? And so now we put it all together. I'm just looking over it, making sure I haven't missed something. And so now we put it all together. So f prime of x is going to equal, now I like to put big brackets around each derivative so that I know what I'm doing. So minus 2 times x squared minus 3x to the negative 3 times 2x minus 3. Close that bracket, times x times 6 minus x squared to the 0.5 plus x squared minus 3x to the negative 2 times 0.5, 6 minus x squared to the negative 0.5 times negative 2x. And again, that's your answer. Notice that you don't have to pull that negative out or anything. I would prefer you to just leave the answer like this. That way, I just go through and I check and make sure you have everything like it is. Okay? No simplifying. All right. Now, for this example, when you take the derivative, you're going to use the quotient rule. So you're going to use the quotient rule. So that's f over g prime. So that's f prime g minus f g prime over g squared, where f equals 3x minus 9, so f prime equals 3, and g equals 2x plus 4, so g prime equals 2. So then s prime of x equals 3 times 3x minus 9 over 2x plus 4 squared times the derivative of the inside, and that's where the quotient rule comes into play. So I have 3 times 2x plus 4 minus, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the 2 forward, 2 times 3x minus 9 all over 2x plus 4 squared. And that is my derivative.